Hey guys, I just want to first thank Terry and Kim for giving me this contract extension and believing in me, and obviously Sean to continue where what we've started and where we're heading, and it's just a testament to. I go back to the interview that I had with them. One of the big questions I had was stability, and they were adamant that we're going to give you and Sean they had already given Sean a 5-year deal then, and we're going to give you a 5-1, and we expect to give out more of these, and then resources. Part of the winning is allowing us to pay the players that we need, these facilities. We built a scouting system here that was not cheap, and just a lot of things like that have helped Sean and myself get to where we're at. We still got a ways to go, but without them, it wouldn't be possible. And just want to thank the staff, the coaches, my personnel staff, the football operations staff. Joe Shane in particular has been here since day one. The first guy I hired a couple days into this thing has really been by my side since day one. And I wouldn't be here, without him, but there's a lot of others. I'd be here for an hour, so I'm not going to name them all. But anyway, just I'm very thankful. Me getting a contract extension is a lot of people's work. It's not just what I've done here, and I'm thankful to everyone that's helped me get to this point. And again, we haven't accomplished what we set out to do, but we can continue the journey, and I'm excited about where we're heading.
All right, you good to get started with some questions?
Yep, I'm ready.
We're going to start with John Scott.
Hey, Brandon, congratulations.
Thanks, John. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. I understand you've had great resources, but you've also had to earn it with what you've done. I know you said the job's not complete. Certainly, we understand that. But almost the back end of year 4 here, is this team where you expected it to be when you took that meeting and took this job?
Yeah, it's hard to say, hey, year 4, you're going to be, what we're at, or you're going to, be in the hunt for a division, win. That's what I wanted. I wanted us to, by this point, at least be in the hunt to win the division. That's been our goal all along, to host playoff games here. And the only way you do that is to win the AFC East. And obviously we haven't done that yet, but I do think this is a good point for where we're at. Is it on course? Is it on par? I don't know if I said, hey, with 4 weeks left in season 4, that we're going to be leading or not, but I'm excited that, we're in position to win it, and it's a 4-game season to see if we get it done.
It's obviously a team game, but you made, no secret going into the 2018 offseason how critical finding the quarterback was going to be. We've all seen Josh's leap this season. How critical, understanding again it's a team game, but how critical is his growth to you staying on the path you envisioned and even moving farther?
Yeah, I mean, I said it way back when it's a quarterback league. This is the most important position in any sport, hands down. And you either have one or you don't. There's no in between. And I'm so proud of where Josh is at and where he's heading. And I know he would say I haven't done anything. I still got a lot to do. But it's the guys in the locker room, love playing with this guy. He leaves it all out there. You see how tough he is. He bangs his shoulder in Vegas, and he doesn't want to miss a play. Gets banged up against the Chargers, and he's trying to get Sean McDermott to call timeout so he doesn't miss a play. I mean, you got to protect him from himself sometimes, but it's important to have that piece. And, that's what's exciting about this organization is I always look at it from a GM standpoint. Obviously you have to have good owners, but the 2 most critical pieces, you have to have the right head coach and you got to have the right quarterback. And that's what I'm excited about, as we head into, the end of year 4 here.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. Congrats again.
You got it, John.
Hey, Brandon, it's Sal. Good to see you.
You too, Sal.
Congratulations and Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thanks, buddy. I like your backdrop.
Thank you very much. My dog got a nice
Bill's Mafia appreciates that.
Thank you. I appreciate Roxy. She's done this for a while now. We've talked a lot about the DNA of players you bring in, the type of character. But I want to go back to what you just talked about with your staff. You've assembled a staff, your front office staff, that's very highly respected around the league. What goes into those people and hiring them? What's the key, and what do you look for in those traits that those specific people from your scouting department, and obviously Joe and Dan and Malik and Terrence and everybody that goes into that?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in find people that are smarter than you. I got a lot of people that are smarter than me, which is great. They help me make sound decisions, and people that are competitive. I mean, that's what I want. People that want it, and you can see it when we play pickup basketball or whatever we're doing. There's people, if you've been around, some of the fights we've had on the court and stuff like that. But it's people that want it. They are so competitive, so self-driven. I mean, you think about scouts. Scouts are out there on their own, in the rental cars, going through airports. That's not an easy job, and they're not in the building every day necessarily. And you have to have. I can't be with them all day. I got to have people that are driven, that want it. I mean, I could have a scout who's pretending he's out there busting his butt, but he's sitting at home with his feet up, taking the easy road. And that was very important to me, to find the right people. And we've got some great people here. Selfishly, I hope we can keep them all, but you know how this business works. Over time, we're probably going to lose some here or there. And that's where developing the next guys, the next Joe Shanes and Dan Morgans and Dennis Hickeys and Brian Gaines and those people, that's part of my job now, is to make sure when we lose some of these people, that we have the next people in line to replace them.
Thank you.
You got it.
Good morning, Brandon. John Warrow, AP.
Hey, John. Good to see you, buddy.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you. This is about Josh Allen, and leadership potential and character are probably the most difficult things for a GM or a scout to really judge, going into the draft. What were the measurables on him in your mind? I know it's difficult to measure, but, and could you have foreseen how much he has grown into that role, to this point in his career?
Yeah, it's a great question, because the quarterback, you want to, in the scouting process, you want to meet as many players as you can, whether in person or whether Zoom or whether it's just at least one of your local scouts sitting down with a guy and saying, I met with him and X, Y, and Z happened. But I think the thing that was great about, that's important about the quarterback position. And, you go back to that, and whether you agreed with Josh being selected or how these guys, that got drafted, the order of them, whatever. A lot of people, John, look at stats. They look at highlights. They look at some throws in this game. They look at, was he in the Heisman race? All the things, the media hype. But the thing that you have to do at the quarterback, you have to get to know these guys, and you have to do your research, and you've got to talk to teammates. You've got to talk to, obviously, coaches. You've got to talk to people in the school. How does this person treat, an intern? How does this person treat a classmate? How does this person treat the lowest guy? How do they're going to treat their head coach well? How do they treat a position coach? What are they like all right, when the team's down, we need are they nervous? Do they want the ball? All those things. How do they practice? Does this guy make people better around him? And then you do that on your own, you build that, and then you got to go get around them. And the thing that we tried to do in 2018 with all the quarterbacks was be around them in different settings. And luckily we were around several of them at the Senior Bowl, Josh included. So you have that first time. Then we go out to Laramie, and we spent an evening, and then the next day working out, doing some tests, take them to lunch. So we had close to another 24-hour exposure. Then we bring him in on the 30 visit. And how did he treat the guy who picked him up at the airport? How did he treat Miss Kathy up there making him a smoothie? Whoever it is. And it's the reason I say all these people, John, because that's what's going to happen when you get in this building. It's anybody can put on a facade. And I think what we saw, Josh passed every test with flying colors. And this is one thing I can say is, whether you thought he was going to be a good player or not, if you're around this young man, you knew that he was going to leave no stone unturned to be the best player he can be. And I was willing, and we as an organization were willing live or die with that. And Josh has done everything we've asked. And I think that's why we see where he's at in year 3 of his growth.
So just as a quick follow-up, when you hear him say this past week that the one fear that drives me is not letting my teammates down, not letting the front office down that took the chance on trading up on me, what does that reinforce with you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the other way. I feel that I can't let him down in the sense that he's doing everything and it's my job. And that's where at the end of last season, at the postseason presser, John, I mentioned that we didn't score enough offense. And I wasn't blaming Brian Daboll or Josh Allen or Cole Beasley or Mitch Morse or anybody like that. It's me. What can I do? And I still felt I had not done enough to give him enough weapons. And that's why we tried at the trade deadline last year to add a Steph Diggs or one of the other guys that was available. Fortunately, we were able to get Steph in March, and I think that's my job to help him, and that's my fear is to not give him and Sean McDermott and Brian Daboll the right weapons, to be successful. And this year, they've all done a great job.
Well, congratulations on the extension. It was well deserved.
Appreciate that, John.
Hey, Brandon, congrats on the extension. I'm also pretty excited that Haley's going to be around in Buffalo for longer, too.
Yeah, you're not getting rid of her. Appreciate
I'm
that, man.
excited about that. Since you got here in 2017 and through your first few draft classes, what have you learned about being a GM that you didn't know before coming to Buffalo?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you don't realize, I had a little snippet of being an interim GM, but it was a 10-week deal, is all the things that pull you away from watching film or trying to find players that you deal with. And this year, of all years with COVID, I mean, all the meetings we've had on COVID protocols and just trying to look out for our team. And you're dealing with the medical team more than you've dealt with them before. You're trying to figure out what do we need in our facilities? What are we missing from sports science? Just there's so many things that you don't get exposed to when you're just scouting or maybe you're just doing football operations, which was my previous role as I was ascending in Carolina. There's just so many things that come across your desk, Maddie. Every day when you walk in, I'd say half of what I thought was going to get done doesn't get done because you're dealing with a lot of other things and you have a lot of people. This is a people business and people have families, things come up. Hey, I need to, I'm a scout. My wife's sick. I was supposed to get to Wisconsin today. I can't make it. Well, now we got to figure out another scout that can get over there and scout this team. Or you're just dealing with a lot of things that take you away from what's exciting is getting to know players and watching players. That's what's fun. There's a lot of things that can get in the way of that, but that's part of being a general manager and building a staff, having to make tough decisions. We came in here, we evaluated the staff. After year 1, Maddie, we made some changes, to what we thought would help us. And you're not doing that as much in previous roles until you get in this seat. And sometimes there's hard decisions, but the right decisions. And that's probably the biggest thing that, the guys below me, when they get a chance to be a GM, that I try and educate them on that they're going to have to deal with when they get their chance.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Congrats again.
Thanks, Maddie. Good to see you.
You too.
Hey, Brandon, congrats on the new deal. Personally, from a family perspective, what does it mean, because you're in a business where, you can be in Buffalo one minute and another city the next. What does it mean from a family perspective to know that the stability is there?
Yeah, it's huge. I was in Carolina for 19 years and until you leave, you never see yourself leaving. And that was probably the hardest part to take this job was, man, I'm uprooting a kid who's in middle school and a kid who's going to be a freshman who's now about to go to college. And so I'm happy I survived long enough so one can graduate through there, and it's looking promising that the other one's going to graduate. But that weighed on me a lot to make this decision to do that. Those are tough ages. And, my boys have done a great job of getting into sports here at Orchard Park and making friends and still keeping their friends down in South Carolina. And you see what this business can do. I've seen a coach who 5 years in a row, he was a quarterback coach. He was actually here 1 year. 5 years in a row, he had to move his family back in the early 2000s. And I never wanted to be that. I just thought that would be too hard on my family, and I didn't want that to happen. So to be able to stay here for the foreseeable future is exciting and makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing as a husband and a dad.
Hey, one last quick question here from me. How has scouting changed this year? Because I'm sure it looks a lot different.
Yeah, it looks like what me and you are doing. Is to be honest with you, our scouts from the college standpoint, they're having to, normally they would go into, we call it a school call. They would go into a school, meet with the pro liaison, meet with the weight coach, the trainers, maybe the academic advisor, any coaches they know. They spend a day there just, getting all the background and getting to know these guys and then going to practice. And so what they've had to do is these schools have scheduled days where they can do Zooms like this and ask questions about the seniors or any of the juniors that are being talked about. And then they can go to a practice, or we can go to a practice if it's in a stadium. That changed about 5 or 6 weeks ago. First, you couldn't even do that. So we were kind of stuck watching just game film as the season started. But it's been different. Fortunately, I've been able to get out a little bit. You go to the resources. The Pagulas have helped me and Joe and some of the guys get to some games where we could still get back here and meet the protocols and get our nose swabbed daily, not miss a beat. But it's been wacky. But at the same time, the motto we have, find a way, and that's our job is we kind of spread that to our scouts. We still have to find a way to evaluate these guys. This, as we'll talk about after the season, this is going to be a good class again, a lot of good players. So we can't miss on that opportunity. You got it.
Hey, Brandon, congratulations.
Thanks, Matt. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you. Obviously you're not in the business of talking about guys that you obviously want to keep in the building, but, I get to thinking about the impact that Brian Daboll has had on this organization since he's been here. I mean, can you kind of put into words like what he's meant? And, obviously you don't want to see him go, but, if he is a hot name on the market, if he becomes a head coach, what kind of head coach would he be?
Yeah, I mean, Brian's a people person. You guys feel him. I know you guys do your interviews, and positive energy. He's very smart. He's had great experience. He's done it at the highest level. Obviously, he's won in New England and went down to college and won and came back here. And so he's a winner, which that's important, bringing a winning attitude to an organization. If he would obviously leave for a head coach and that's what Sean's done here, is bring a winning attitude, a winning approach, detailed. And I think Brian, when his number is called, he's going to do that for whatever organization that is. And he's so smart. He's just he's done a great job. Players respect him. He's not afraid to get on to them, which is important. You can't be just their friends, but I think he can laugh it up with them too, which is important to be able to drop your guard. It can't always be transactional. Hey, Matt, how you doing? You missed this route. You did this. It's, Matt, how's your family? And hey, you screwed that up. Laugh about something you saw on TV, whatever. Brian's got that dynamic leadership and quality to him. And I'm a big fan and have no doubt that when he gets his opportunity, we want to keep him selfishly, but that's the way this works. And so I'm sure he'll do great.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Vic.
Congratulations.
Thanks, buddy. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Very happy for you and your family. Brandon, a lot obviously goes into the whole thing of negotiating these extensions. And you know that better than anybody as a negotiator yourself. But the amount of time that went on with this and the possibility that, look, you could have decided, hey, maybe the best thing is let the whole thing play out and put myself in a market where they're coming to me left and right, and I can maybe conceivably get, something even better. And I have no doubt you got something great. But what I'm leading to is somewhere along the line, you, your family, everybody decided staying here, staying part of this program, being with Sean was the best option. But when you think about what the alternatives were, why did it way better for you to say planning yourself here for the long haul was better than anything else, which again could have easily been something you could have looked at?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I talked about earlier, Vic, the word stability. The Pagulas have done everything that we've asked. For the most part. I say we, me, and Sean, from the resources and things like that, and allowing us to build our staffs and build the things we want. So it's to me, it's up to me to give them every chance and to reciprocate that and want to be here. The last thing I want to do is start building something 3 or 4 years in and then walk out on it, middle of the road. I'm a stable guy. Like I said, I don't want to be picking my family up, and I put a lot into this place and we have here, and I want to see this place win for a long time. And that's the goal. And I want to be here to see a lot of it. And that's the thing. I'm not a vagabond type. I don't want to move around. If you're loyal to me, which they have been, I'm going to be trying as loyal and twofold back to you. That's how I was raised by my parents, that, your word is your bond, and that's what matters most. And they've done everything that I could have ever asked out of Terry and Kim and Sean. And so some things take time, but I wanted to be here all along, and I think they wanted that, and we're excited that we got it done.
And as a follow, Brandon, does it also say something about what's in place here, what you and Sean have been building over the course of 4 years almost, and knowing that a big part of this is that you want it to be sustainable. It's not just the contract length. It's in the course of that, knowing you're being successful in those 4 years and not just signing on to be employed for 4 years. How did you see that too? Like the future of this team, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I think too, it goes back to what when somebody's asked me earlier about the quarterback, and the two most important hires of a GM is make sure you got the right head coach and the right quarterback in place. If you have that, you have a chance. You got to do a lot of other things right, and I believe we do have that here in Buffalo. And if you look at the teams, Vic, that are in it every year, Pittsburgh, look at this year, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, these stable teams, New Orleans, Green Bay, a lot of these things, they're generally pretty stable at the quarterback position and mostly at the head coach position as well. And so that's what we want to be. That's, again, back to one of my number one questions. I was being interviewed in that interview with Terry and Kim, but I was also interviewing them. And stability was one of the things that I really was pressing on, of how important that was. And they want that. And they were young. They're young owners. They were young owners, and they're still young owners. But I think they have seen these organizations that I sometimes have referenced, or maybe Sean in some of our meetings, of this is how you have to do it to be a stable franchise. And sometimes you got to make tough decisions or things like that, but they're the right decisions for the long-term stability. And so that's what I'm excited about, where we've gotten it to, but I'm also excited about where we're heading, Vic, to your point.
Thank you, Brandon. And again, congrats.
Thank you, Vic.
Hey, Brandon, congratulations.
Thanks, man. How you doing?
I'm well. This means we get a couple chances to beat you again in golf tournaments. We're going to be around for a while.
I know. I can't wait. Hopefully we going to have that vaccine so we can get out there this summer.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, congratulations again. But my question, I guess, is when you got hired here, from then until now, was there a moment or maybe a series of moments when it hit you that, like, this is where you wanted to be and you were happy with what you've built so far? And I know you haven't accomplished what you want to accomplish, but as you look back, was there kind of that like aha moment?
I don't know if there was a certain moment, Matt, but I think, first off, you start with the community you live in. Your family's got to be happy if you're going to be happy. If they're not happy or they're miserable or something like that, it's just not going to work. I can't be myself. And so this community has been great. I think this is not like bustling New York. When you hear New York, as you guys know, but when you're from the South, you hear you're moving to New York, you're thinking it's hustle and bustle and things like that. And this is this is more, there's a lot of Southern hospitality in Western New York. And I think that meshes well with how I am and probably my wife and my kids at this point too. So I think first off, you start there. And then second off, you start with owners who get it, who want to win, and they want to learn. As I've referenced, sometimes they were young owners when we got here. They're still probably young compared to the NFL, but people that are good people. And that's what you want to work. It's about relationships, and it starts with your bosses, and then it starts with, a guy like Sean McDermott, who we have a lot of the same things, and we're competitive guys. We don't always see eye to eye or agree on everything, but we both have the Buffalo Bills, the same goal in mind. We walk out of meetings even when we disagree, that this is what's best for the Bills, so we're going to do it. And I think when you have that and you come to work, it makes you excited. And I've always said I want to be somewhere where I'm excited to come to work. You have to move the dollars and cents away. And I can say that because I was excited when I was an intern, and I was excited when I was making $20,000 a year, picking guys up at the airport and things like that. So obviously, times have changed, and I'm paid a little more than I was then. But I'm excited every single day I come in this place, and as long as I can say that, I'm going to want to be here.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Congrats again.
You got it, Matt.
Hey, Brandon, congratulations.
Thanks, Heather. Good to see you.
I'm also you too. I'm also very excited that Haley's going to be around as well. We can share some dog stories, continue that.
All the dogs in Western New York.
I want to ask you, I feel like the word patience comes to mind when thinking about all that you've accomplished, you and Sean. How big was patience, not only with Josh Allen's development, but also with, some of the maybe unfavorable decisions that you guys had to make when you first came in?
Yeah, I mean, Heather, you have to lay out a plan, and not that you're going to lay out a 3-year plan and you're going to do every single decision and you don't change some things along the way, but along the plan to change a franchise like this that had struggled for so long, you're going to have to make some hard decisions, tough decisions, and quite frankly, unpopular decisions. But once you decide that's what you got to do, you got to go make it, and you got to live with it, and you got to get everybody on board. And if you find that people are not on board, then you have to move on, and it doesn't make them bad people. It just makes them bad fits. And we had to do that some along the way. And sometimes you're always going to tweak that a little bit. But at the same time, you have to be open that maybe I said, hey, a year from now, we're going to have to let this player walk. But maybe this player has really done some things and brought some added, whether it's value on the field or value in the locker room, whatever. And you say, you know what, I'd rather actually keep that guy and let's swap this guy out or not sign this free agent that we had planned to chase. And so that's part of it too. And my job here is to look at the short term, look at the long term, and try and make the best decision each time. And sometimes you do have to make decisions, and especially when you talk about quarterback and Josh Allen, you have to be patient. Especially if you look at Josh's path from small high school, junior college, short stint at Wyoming, and then that's a major jump that he's had to make to the NFL. And so there's going to be some bumpy road, a bumpy road along the way. But if you think it's the right thing long term, you have to be willing to stick it out. And that was unpopular. I know people didn't agree with drafting. Everybody did, and I'm sure along the way people said we need to move on and find another one. But if you're going to do it and do it right, you got to stick through some bumpy times and be willing to take some criticism.
And you've mentioned Sean and some of your other answers, but can you just kind of expand on how important it is to have that stability and that relationship between you and Sean, and the fact that your contracts are now mirrored so you guys can stay here long-term together?
Yeah, I mean, again, you can't do this job without a great head coach, because I can't get out there and coach the players and lead the staff. And I think one of the things that gets lost in coaching is development. And sometimes development means playing a younger player maybe a less experienced player. Maybe there's a guy right now that's a little bit better than that guy. But if I play this guy and deal with some, again, what I talked about with Josh, and, take a Tremaine Edmonds, who was 19 when we drafted him. We probably could have found a better middle linebacker, his first year or whatever, maybe into his second year. But if you're gonna build something that's sustainable, you have to grow young guys. We talk about it, draft, develop, re-sign our own, which you guys have started to see. We've been able to do that with Trey and Dion and some of the guys here. But you can't do that in my seat without a head coach who's willing to play young players. It's natural. I've been around coaches that I'm playing the vet. I want to win every day right now. And Sean does a great job of, it is his job as a head coach to win every practice, win every day. But you can have that conversation with him of, hey, Sean, can we talk about this guy, maybe getting him in the lineup more, even if he's not a starter, but we need to develop him because we're not going to be able to pay this player. It's just, and we can have those conversations about where I see the cap going and, what I think we're going to be able to do in the offseason and why it's important to go ahead and see. Because sometimes it's play a player to see if he has it. Does this guy have it? And if he doesn't, let's make the decision now before we go into the next offseason and try and ride with him. Let's do that. And so those are constant conversations that we have. And Sean is so willing to do that. And he presses it with his coaches to develop these young guys. And again, I think that's part of why we're at where we're at and where we're excited where we're going.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. Congrats again.
Thanks, Heather.
Hi, Brandon. Congrats on the new deal.
Thanks, Matt.
You talked about how comfortable your family was in Carolina, and you'd basically spent your whole life there. That's all you knew. I'm sure there were a lot of people that looked at you funny when you said you were going up to Buffalo. When you think back to saying goodbye to people in that building, saying goodbye to your family and friends, and I'm sure the kind of butterflies in your stomach, going out on your own, how much do you think you grew personally because you left?
Yeah, no doubt. You sometimes have to get yourself into an uncomfortable position to find out what you're made of. And the easy, comfortable thing to do was to stay in Carolina. I had a pretty good path to the GM seat there and felt confident that it was going to happen in time. And does that weigh on you? Yes. But I also, part of it is, I grew up in that building and some people are always going to view you as the guy you walked in. And two, we had been to a Super Bowl. If I'm taking over a team like, that's recently been to a Super Bowl, does that show that I can build something and be a part of something from the ground up? And that's what was so exciting about this opportunity and made me say, I want to see if I can do it. And sometimes it's to yourself. Like maybe you don't know. Like to me, the easier route was to stay in Carolina. It was safe. My family was happy. Probably would have been a lot less stressful. But at the same time, this was stressful, but exciting, being able to build your own staff and, build your team the way you see it. Maybe you don't always agree with everything. And I'm sure there's people in the building that don't agree with everything the way, Sean and I do it. But that's what's neat about this situation. And I'm so excited that I did it. And you're right. I definitely grew personally. I think my family has grown because of it. And hopefully, as I said, I got a senior who's going to college next year. I think it will help him as he does that because it was very uncomfortable, for my boys to move. And I'm hoping that this will someday be a lesson that they say, hey, I hated it at the time, but it was the best thing for me. And I definitely think personally it was for me.
Probably hurt the golf handicap a little bit, but
yeah, definitely. I got to see. I need to figure out to get an indoor setup or something to keep my swing going.
When you talk about those conversations you're able to have with Sean about certain players getting in the lineup, things like that, how have those conversations kind of evolved or maybe gotten a little tougher as the stakes are so high now? It's probably easy in 2017, 2018 to say, play the young guy or do this or that and be flexible with the lineup. But how have you guys maintained that good back and forth, knowing that every lineup decision holds pretty high stakes now.
Yeah, definitely. You're not as free will with it. If you're not expected to win, you're more open to doing it. Definitely those in 17 and 18, to your point. I think each season has its own season, and you don't know what's going to happen. Every year it's a new team, and so I do think earlier in the year you're more open to playing some young guys, and then you start figuring out, all right, this guy he's trending in the right direction. Let's keep going. Or this guy's not trending in the right direction. He's not ready. Let's move him to the side because we're winning. If we were, if our record was not what it was and it was flipped, I definitely think you'd see even more guys out there. So at this point, I'm not wanting. I want to win games too. So I'm probably just as much like Sean. Like, well, right now let's hold off on this guy. We'll slowly develop him as either a reserve or we'll spend more time in the off season with him. But it does change each season, however your season is going, for sure.
Thanks, Brandon. Congrats again.
You got it, Matt.
Hey, Brandon, it's Marcel. Congrats on the extension.
Thanks, Marcel. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. I'm curious what you've been able to do in Buffalo, basically strip something down, rebuild it in the way that you saw fit. Is there anything quite like that? Like, can you compare that experience to anything else in life, or is it a truly unique thing to do?
I think it's unique here for so many reasons. I think the NFL is probably different in a lot of ways, but this community and what this team, had such a great tradition in the late 80s and early 90s to where it fell to from the 2000s till Sean and I got here. And I think that was what was exciting, was this is an opportunity of a place that's been down for so long, that had such a great tradition, that still has a great fan base. How exciting would it be to get this thing turned around and host playoff games here? And that's what Sean and I want. The goal hasn't changed. We want to win the AFC East so that we can host games here. And that's been the goal all along. And I think at the end of the day, hopefully we can get that done this year. We got a 4-game season to see it. Okay. You good?
Sean's coming up yet.
Okay. Sean's up next.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Okay, thank you.